Hey everyone, welcome to Sit Stay Rant, our weekly podcast where what are we doing? We're unleashing the real mess
behind rescue.
Got it.
I will eventually get it.
It's a lot of words.
This is Amy, and I am here with
Emily,
Tiffany,
Gabby,
Michelle.
We are going to talk today about one of our favorite topics.
These are my favorite kind of people.
This is about breeders.
now please don't come for us yet.
No, you will
can come for us.
You're
It's okay.
They're going to.
You can
All right,
fast
I'm wearing
us.
a shirt appropriately.
Yeah, Michelle has on a
towards the
shirt that
camera,
says
see if
"Stop
everybody
breeding
sees it.
dogs."
You know, I never got my hoodie that happened when you ordered them. I never got mine.
Wow.
No, you didn't.
All right, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot with breeders. They very much want a distinction to be made between backyard breeders and ethical breeders. So on the podcast, I'm going to call them the EBs. So I happen to agree that there's a difference.
Sure.
Do you guys agree that there's a difference?
Yes.
Kind
I
of.
think they both suck, though.
That's fair, but you think that there's a difference?
Yes.
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 They're-
Yes.
Does anyone want to talk about
And
the differences?
go ahead.
I feel like the difference is most backyard breeders just want to mix something with a poo so they can say it's hypoallergenic.
And it's
And
just
then
about money.
that's a trend right now. So then they end up with all these
Well-
health problems and they don't genetic test or health
Exactly.
test and stuff.
I think that's the biggest piece is
Yeah.
that I think that there's a lot of science. It seems like, and I don't know a lot about this piece of it. I know what we see in the rescue, but there's some science behind breeding, right? And I think that backyard breeders will get in over their heads on genetics, right? And
Or
you
just
wind-
have two unfixed dogs that are
right,
An oops litter.
fucking and making babies and then
right,
selling them on Facebook
Right.
or Craigslist.
right.
I think that money seems to be the motivating factor for backyard breeders. I will sometimes get hate on TikTok from people who call themselves ethical breeders, and they want for me to make sure I make a distinction when I talk about breeding, and they will often say that they don't make any money. I don't know if they do or not.
I'm
and I
sure
actually
they
invited,
do.
just so everyone knows, I invited anyone in the TikTok audience who is a breeder to come on here and talk, and I didn't get any takers,
Then
surprising.
they wouldn't be able to complain about us.
I mean, I do wonder, maybe someone will step up after hearing this.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you come on. I do think that there's a difference that people who, again, I'm going to use their term, the ethical breeder, that they tend to focus on a specific breed. They're not just going for whatever is the it breed at that time. Like right now, Frenchies are all the rage, even though it's a terrible breed. So backyard breeders will make whatever they think will make them money.
Like
and
a
we have
science lab.
Exactly. I was
It's
just
a
going to
science lab,
say,
yeah.
we have seen this, Tiff, where people will make dogs without even thinking it through. They'll just combine different
the two
things.
you have Fosters right now.
Which are awesome dogs personality wise, but that doesn't happen all the time. But the guy, when I picked him up, he said, I don't know if you know this, like proud of it. These are called fluffies in the bully community. Mind you, I have my own bullies. These are not.
What is a fluffy?
Long-haired,
So-
probably.
A long-haired
It's a
pit bull?
mutt.
Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're doing it with Frenchies. If you've seen them, like the teddy bear
No.
ones.
No, I have
Yeah.
not.
And
That is
Either
fucking
like
ridiculous.
Timberland.
well, they're more than that.
Oh my gosh.
They're more than that.
Stop it.
But he said, like, he was proud of it. Like,
Right.
He had different litters that he was surrendering to us. And everybody I keep telling the breed to, they're like, no, it's not. And no, they are, because the breeder told me he mixed a corgi poo with a pit bull.
Wow.
So that's 3 different types. And who knows if they were even purebred corgi
Yeah.
To begin
who-
with.
Right? Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
just
good point.
there's-
Also, for the record, I mean, we are all well aware that a doodle
is a
is
mutt.
a mutt. So we're
Your
not saying
designer
that these
dog
are
is a
mutt.
purebreds, right?
that you're spending thousands on. That is you and your pretend allergies. I'm sure there's allergies that exist. Gabby has allergies. She
I have
has
allergies.
Like
Thinking-
everybody wants a poo, a doodle. Everyone has allergies.
Sick of the poos. I
It's
gotta tell
annoying.
ya.
But should we talk about why we hate the breeding in general? Like why
Well, I-
where we come from?
I first want to just say that I do think there's a difference between people who are in it for the money only.
Mhm.
They don't care what they breed. They just want to make money. Whereas, again, I'm using their term, the ethical breeders would say, I'm a collie breeder, I'm a poodle breeder, and
Right.
that's what I do. I only do that dog. And they will say they limit the number of litters per year and all of that. So I do think that there is a difference.
So sorry, let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Ethical breeders are saying they don't do it for money.
The ones that have reached out to me personally to hate on us have
And
said
are
that they don't make anything.
They do it to save
And
the
are
breed.
they making sure that all of their litters are being spayed and neutered? Or no, they're actually putting it in
No.
there that they should be mating
That
and breeding.
definitely is not in there.
Well, that's my point. So then you're
Right.
just contributing to this overpopulation of dogs.
They are, and
Which
they
is why
would
we
argue
bucket them in the same as, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. They would say that they are, like Gabby said, they're protecting their breed.
Right.
And so
vomit.
my thing is, I agree with you. Like, I think both can be unethical.
Sure.
Right now, when we are drowning in dogs, I personally don't see, this is just my opinion, having been in rescue forever, how you can justify bringing more dogs into the world when there are so many already.
Right.
Now,
We're
the
like,
breeders
we're
would say,
different.
well, the breeders would say, so you want all the breeds to go away.
No.
That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, could we take a break?
I mean, maybe the Frenchie
Could we get
breed.
caught up and not kill dogs and puppies just
Exactly.
because
Could
we don't have room?
just get caught
Could
up?
we fucking stop killing dogs because you're selfish?
100%. The other thing is, I think if a breeder is making sure that their breed goes to the right kind of environment, again, I'm not going to make a pro-breeder statement. I'm just saying if someone wants a herding dog for a farm,
Right.
or a guarding
You can
dog,
still
or
spay
whatever,
and neuter that dog.
100%, 100%.
Absolute-
And I
absolutely.
would argue that you should
should.
find that dog in rescue.
Oh, 100%.
Just, I know a woman who got this super fancy dog. I even forget the name of it, but it was some kind of herding dog. That's what it was bred for. She lives in just a suburban townhome. Why do you need
A
that
GSP.
dog? Right. Like,
well, this happened with
that makes me
Australian cattle.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
why do you
happened-
need that dog?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this happened with Australian cattle dogs in the 90s. These dogs were bred in Australia to like herd
Literally.
cattle, to bite cattle's ankles.
Right.
And you're going to bring that into your home and hang.
Now
Right.
those dogs.
And be
hang
mad
out.
when they display the
Well, so
behaviors they
that's
were
my
bred
point
for.
is
Right.
they're now labeled, we've seen it, aggressive because they're nipping kids in the ankle. That's their job. That's what
their
they
job.
were bred for.
That's right.
and you just got the dog because it looked cool.
Right.
Knowing nothing about
Right.
the breed.
Absolutely.
Now, we didn't know anything about Mastiffs. We just got lucky with our first rescue and fell in love with it. But they're guardians. Like, if you don't want a dog that barks at someone that walks up to your house, don't get a Mastiff.
Right.
That's
Right. But I think that the difference, like when I think of a backyard breeder, though, too, to differentiate between the ethical breeder and the backyard breeder, they're breeding breeds together that can't even make a sustainable body. Right. And we've seen that.
oh god,
We've seen
the
that.
smush
where-
face.
Frenchies.
Right.
They
Well,
can't
or
even
the-
breathe. They can't
Exactly.
even.
Or like
have
They
even
need a
the
C-section
I mean,
almost all the time.
Babies.
Going under for spay and neuter is a huge risk for them.
Yeah.
Or even the bullies that you rescued, right? They seem to be bred like some sort of bully mix and a French bulldog, and their
Exotics.
bones cannot
Mm-hmm.
That-
I mean,
right.
withstand
they
the
look
body
like
weight,
like cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Right. So their body, their bone structure cannot withstand the weight on that dog.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's part of the issue too with the backyard breeders. You're like, are these two dogs even compatible for life?
Yeah, that's a great point. And we have seen, I've personally seen a number of times the breeding of the merle, which is a coloring, and it greatly increases the risk of blindness.
Double merle, right?
Deaf. Yeah, if you breed double merles
merles,
together, you may end up with this gorgeous coat. You may also end up with a dog, as we have seen,
Helen
that is
Keller.
blind or deaf. And one of my issues with breeders is whatever you create, you need to take responsibility for.
Yep.
So we have 2 dogs in the rescue right now, 2 Frenchies, they're merles. They were born into a litter of 7. And the breeder, who I've actually been in touch with, he had these 2 puppies that had cleft lip and cleft palate, which I don't know if that risk is increased
I'm
with
sure with
the
just being a
Merle, but
Frenchie.
certainly with the inbreeding and maybe with the Frenchie. So he was not in a position to care for them.
Of course not. Why?
Didn't want them because
Nor
if you
would
have,
he be able to make money off of them like the other ones. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you have a dog, just so everyone knows, that has the cleft lip or palate, they can't really form a latch.
Right.
So they can't really nurse. So that means someone has to intervene, which is exhausting work. We have 2 amazing fosters, Lexi and Maya,
Tube feeding.
who are tube feeding these
Every
dogs.
2 hours.
Right, because then they can also aspirate.
And there's
because,
a whole
the
host of other
aspiration is a huge
issues.
issue. Yeah.
But I feel like you had a responsibility. You made these dogs, and then you didn't want them when they were
was gonna euthanize
quote unquote
them.
defective,
Yeah.
right? And you also have not offered any financial assistance for when they get surgery, which we
Right.
think will be 9 to 12 weeks or
Yes,
something
9
like that.
weeks.
Hopefully 9 weeks. They're a month old now. You were happy to have us take them. You're not willing to give us any money for them. And we have seen that kind of thing a lot. So if we come off as angry toward breeders, it's based on what we have personally
Because we have to clean
dealt
up your
with.
fucking messes.
Exactly.
Financially, and I get a call, Henny Penny, okay? I hate to say this, they bought her for the gram, right? Like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, this dog
Wow.
had
Wait,
no,
what?
For the
For this
Instagram.
Instagram, like, it looks good for pictures.
Oh, that's like a gram.
Yeah.
A gram of what?
Yeah,
Okay.
gram of coke.
Methamphetamine.
Swede.
Yeah.
We get a call from one of our partners in New Jersey. I have a dog. It's appointment to be euthanized. Okay, great. What's going on? It's a Frenchie, and it had
The urethra was outside of her
yeah.
bladder.
So the urethra was messed up. So basically, dripping pee, and they took it in because they couldn't afford to get it fixed. Well, they didn't want to spend the money to get it fixed, so they just.
They spent the $3,000 on the dog, but didn't have the $3,000 for the
So
surgery.
we took the dog under our rescue.
Wait, why wouldn't the breeder take it back?
Because it was a
Why
bootleg
would
backyard
you?
breeder
Oh,
on
yeah,
Facebook.
yeah. Oh,
The
got
breeder did say you can swap it out for another one.
And we'll take
And we'll
care
kill
of
the dog, basically. I'm
Right,
sure that's what
of
the
course,
solution
yeah.
is. So they just made the appointment to kill it themselves. Thankfully, the vet knows this person we're in touch with. Anyway, we end up taking the dog because we're not going to let a dog die. And I mean, how much did that dog cost?
I don't know.
Over
more
5,000.
money than we made on the adoption fee.
Well, of course.
Which is $425.
Exactly.
No, we actually
$375.
we waived the adoption fee on
because the medical issues.
Yeah, it was a quote unquote free dog.
It was my
Ooh.
friend's daughter who adopted that
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we took her, and we have to clean up the mess. Like,
Now,
we're
the
willing-
ethical breeders would say, no, it's not our dogs. Ours are not in the shelters. It's the backyard
Well,
breeder.
Really?
dogs.
Let's talk about
that's
the
what they will
Samoyed.
say.
The
Let's
ethical
talk about the Samoyed.
breeders also tell us we should just euthanize those dogs.
Yes.
Well, they actually did with the Frenchies.
We
saying
got a
we
lot
should
of
kill
shit
them.
They
online.
said we
One
were
person in
wrong.
particular who happens to be a trainer / breeder, I don't know, but she said that it was irresponsible of us to try to save the Frenchies. That
If it was her, she would have just
She
euthanized
said
them.
they
because-
should have been euthanized.
Is it because they're like they cannot have healthy lives? I don't know much about.
No, it's because that's an irresponsible use of
finances?
our funds.
Oh.
But if we want to try and save
Right. That's
2,
our mission is to save dogs. So
yeah, if,
Right. And that was my point when I came back out swinging, which I don't normally do, but it just particularly pissed me off because
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing to help?
shut
you
the
know
fuck
what? Shut
up.
the fuck
Yes.
up. Right. Like, talk to me when you are actually saving anyone.
And your dogs are in shelters.
Right. So it just really hit me the wrong way.
well,
But
yeah.
I mean, I do understand the thought behind that because I have seen rescues go broke trying to help dogs that they really had no business helping. And you don't want that. But my point was, if we have the resources,
And we think we can
if we think we can do
fundraise.
it, if we can fundraise, if we have a vet that can do it for a reasonable amount, why can't we give them a
shot.
chance?
And we don't even know if these dogs might not make it.
We don't know. I mean, so
They both
far,
have pneumonia,
knock
but which is
wood, but
normal.
yeah, I mean, we're doing our best. But yeah, I mean, we will sometimes get people in the breeder community who say that you should call the litter, is what they would call it.
That's what that means.
Yep. And you
Should
call the litter.
them.
Yep. And you get rid of any of the ones that have issues and
Yeah.
you don't and you don't
so
try
none
to-
of them have issues with these breeders?
I mean, I don't know. The ethical breeders, and again, using their term, they reach out to me. If I get any hate online, it's 99%.
Didn't
Ethical
one
breeders.
ethical breeder, we all know who I'm talking about, last year come at us pretty heavily, and
Yeah.
then we went
Still
back
does sometimes.
and went back and looked, and where her dogs came from had parvo outbreak.
They did.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the irony, you
Yeah.
fucking bitch!
I know,
Mhm.
I know.
And Amy always asks, like, do you want to have a conversation?
Always.
And people
I have
Catch me
usually
outside. How about that?
Every time.
Not in an aggressive
shut
way,
it
just say,
down.
hey, if you think we're doing something wrong,
We
can
would
we
love
have a
your- I've
I've
conversation?
said that to every single
and
troll
work
who's
together.
come after me, and I've said, listen, if this, because they'll say, oh, it's about change. We want to call out things that we don't think are right in rescue. Fair enough. Come and sit down
Let's
with me.
talk,
And
yeah.
I've messaged people directly, people who seem to, have a real issue. Come and sit down with me. Not one person
But also,
has ever done it. Not
are
one.
we proactively going out of our way calling out
Never.
things in breeding?
Never.
Like I said in episode 1, I'm not going to start the fight. I'm not, but I will make time
Yeah.
to FAFO.
Yeah.
and
we'll
you're, like,
defend ourselves
but
too.
like,
For sure.
why do they feel like the need they can go out of their way to, like, nobody asked you.
All right, here's my theory. Tell me what you guys think. This is just an opinion. I think that there is some fundamental knowledge, maybe some guilt, knowing I'm not part of the solution.
Right.
And so
they're
there's
not
a
self-aware.
lashing out because there's such an anger from these people that is so surprising to me.
Maybe it's because the people that rescue outnumber and they're so, like, they feel like they're attacked. I'm like, well,
I
then
don't
do some
know.
self-reflection then. There's a reason for that.
Right. I
Or-
don't know. I mean, I know that a lot of these ethical breeders are very much against the adopt, don't shop movement.
Oh.
That started in the 80s in California, and it was mainly as a response to a lot of puppy mills and pet stores. These folks feel like it's too broad and that the message should be adopt or use a responsible, reputable breeder. They don't like this message and feel like it's damaging. So there's a lot of anger from these people,
I'm
which is
just
surprising.
curious, are they, it doesn't sound like ethical breeders. So they're saying that their dogs are never going and having oops litters because that's contributing to the population. Like, they have such a tight control on their adopters that their dogs are never going around and getting pregnant or
That's a great point.
impregnating.
I mean,
It's a really
I
good
can't
point.
imagine
Yeah.
they all, like,
They should also step into high kill shelters and see what the fuck's going on.
well, they should go pick up their own dogs like the Samoyed that one time when they
Yeah.
wanted to visit.
And it's interesting because they are working in this realm. And I'm talking about backyard breeders again, but also regular breeders where they talk about the calling of the litter, and you really do wonder, you're playing with life here, and I'm not. It is interesting that you are willing to create a life that is not sustainable and then call it, right? But you're not willing to be part of a bigger solution. It's fascinating.
a great point.
It's fascinating to me that you are sort of working in this very small vacuum of your litter for the ethical breeders.
These
It's
are
like
those weirdos that stand at the things with their dogs up and, like,
well,
right?
but they're
At the
Those are-
podium,
yeah.
That's what, like, those
Yeah.
weirdo
Don't
breeder.
even know.
The
Well, they do
shows.
shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on the shows. I'm sorry. I just hate that whole world. I just
Yeah.
do.
Well,
and
it's
I don't
kind of
care.
like
It's-
beauty pageants for kids.
Yeah,
Right?
it's just.
But it is.
yeah.
I mean, but you think about it, this is life, right? This is life, and I'm not trying to be
100%.
weird about it, but they're creating these lives for their own entertainment,
Right.
right? And it does have a different feel to it than
But would they say they're not doing it for entertainment?
That's what
But
they
they-
would say. They
what
would
are they
say,
doing it
we
for?
are
I
don't
protecting
know.
the breed.
why.
And we love this breed.
preserving.
We're preserving, sorry. We're
Preserving is-
preserving the
yeah.
breed. And we want to see this line continue. And we want to hold certain standards. And that's another thing that the EBs will say about the backyard breeders. They don't care about the standards. We care about the standards. And they will say, our dogs are not ending up in the shelters.
I would
We
love
have a
to
tight rein on
my
everybody.
point, yeah.
We know what's going on. We only breed a certain times a year. We don't make money. It's not about money. It's about the breed.
Then why don't
That's what they
they?
say.
Do they
Why,
invest
how
in
are they able
rescue?
to do this full time then if it's not about the money?
I mean, maybe they don't. I don't know.
Nope, they do.
I wonder if they break down their cost because a lot of people with us, with the adoption fees, people want to know the breakdown of why it is. So do they ask the
yeah,
breeders
bitch.
that?
We
Why
tr-
they're charging
yeah.
thousands of dollars? No.
No,
I
they
mean-
just do it.
I have personally seen some reputable breeders, quote unquote, who I thought were not so great. For example, a woman nearby bought a very expensive, I want to say it was like $5 or $8 grand, German short-haired pointer puppy. And she's a single mom.
What are they
Has
known
two
for?
young kids.
They're hunting
It's a
dogs.
working breed.
But
It's
she
a
didn't
working breed.
get it
Yeah.
for
High
For her
energy.
kids?
High energy. Two young kids, single mom, works outside of the home
With her working dog?
full time. Got an 8-week-old German short-haired pointer because, and I asked her directly, why? Because she liked the way it looked.
Okay.
So she was allowed to buy that dog.
Even though she's gone, has two young kids, and was not going to give it any of the enrichment it needed.
It won't be hunting.
So they don't vet. So
disaster.
that's the thing is,
I don't know if they do or not. I'm just saying I have personally seen
right.
dogs come from so-called reputable breeders where it was such a bad placement that it makes me wonder, how much are you vetting?
Well, so-
or is it about the bottom line money?
That brings up a good point about Bo. Okay, I love him dearly.
Tell the
and
Bo story.
I actually look at my shirt and I looked at him this morning and I thought, if he wasn't bred, I wouldn't have him in my life, which is weird.
Well, tell who he is.
So Bo is my current foster. He's adopted. He is a 7, almost 8-month-old Cane Corso. He's 70 pounds. He was purchased from a breeder in New York. His owner has passed of esophageal cancer and bought him while he was in hospice. And
Well, wait. Would you say this was would this person describe
well,
themselves as an
I've
ethical
done
breeder?
some research on this breeder. It doesn't sound like it, but
Because I'm
don't.
sorry, but who?
Well, I don't know if that's why I brought this up. Is I'm not sure if they knew
That he
or
was
did
in hospice.
research that the owner was in
Okay.
hospice because
Right.
because Bo, lovely, family's amazing. His they ended up, the sister took him and then reached out to us because he's a lot. He's
Yeah.
a guardian
Yeah.
breed. He's going to probably be 130. Apparently, he's great. He lived with 6 cats, 3 dogs. But apparently, Bo was, because there were nurses in and out, Bo was just kind of like, oh, get away, like, not yelled at. Like, I don't know if he was allowed on furniture. He's still very, like, hesitant to come on beds. I'm not saying he was abused,
Sure.
but I do think that I wonder if this breeder, even knew anything about where he was going.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I'm not
I don't know
faulting
how,
who purchased him. Obviously, his owner, rest in peace. But like, I
So,
can't.
Yeah,
You're
what
not-
is the process?
with
I don't
a
even know for
hospice
buying a dog.
to get into hospice, you have to have a 6-month or less.
Plan?
6-month or less life-limiting disease, right? To go
So
into
I
hospice,
can't imagine
he was going to be alive for
this
6 months or
breeder
less.
knew
Right, for
or
a
even
puppy.
cared where he was going.
Well, that's why I would love for a breeder
Right.
to come on here and tell us what's your process.
Yeah,
Because we
yeah.
have seen dogs from so-called reputable, ethical breeders that ended up in terrible situations. Like this German short-haired pointer.
Did
I
they
went over to
rehome?
work with him. He was a total lunatic. Oh, and the other thing is she had no yard. Tiny little house, no yard. And this dog was bouncing off the fucking
course.
walls.
Yeah.
Not surprisingly.
Not his fault.
And he was
crated all
miserable.
day.
Crated all day. All day.
Yeah, there's one on my farm, but it's like 700 acres and she
Right.
runs all day.
Right.
And
Which
still
is what they're
probably
meant to
not
do.
tired.
Right. Right.
So I finally talked to her and said, what do you think about rehoming this dog? Because she was miserable. She was in tears
Yeah.
almost every day.
Aw.
Because
She
when
would
she
come
got
home from
home,
work,
yeah.
she's got 2 little kids and she's
That's a-
trying to manage life. And this dog is,
Would you say that's a FAFO?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I
she
mean-
eventually agreed and he's much happier now.
Oh, okay, good.
But the only reason she bought this dog was
it
because
looked
she
cool?
thought it was cute.
And this is something that we deal with in rescue, though. Like when we're taking applications and trying to place dogs,
And we do matchmaking. So it's
Yeah.
like just because we talked about this during break, like just because you're approved for adoption doesn't mean you're approved for the dog you're applying for. Because Bo's requirements,
Not the same as other dogs.
As
Well,
a
right?
that
Chihuahua.
was what I was going to say. Is that
no,
we've had,
I mean, we did not, we had a lot of apps on him and I denied a lot of them because, it's just, there are
They would
certain
have FAFO'd too, and
Well,
then
sure.
they would have
yeah,
had
of
him back.
course.
But we're not doing that.
Well, and that's the thing is we have to look about making sure they don't come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
I think that's the, we have had people apply for a working dog, right? We've had people who have put in an application for a guardian breed that live in, an apartment, and we don't do it. We say that's not going to work for you,
I just wonder if
not
the breeders
necessarily,
do the same due diligence
Right.
that we do. And I suppose it's maybe some do, some
There's
don't.
levels of
Right. But I mean, I know I've personally seen a number of dogs from so-called ethical breeders that ended up in situations that were not well suited to the dog. And then that does make me wonder, is it about the dog? Like, this breed so well, how could you put it with someone who has no yard, this dog really needed another dog. Like, it just was such a bad match. I was really shocked. Yeah, I was really shocked.
Yeah.
So that is where we get a lot of hate. So Emily, what do you think is maybe behind the anger? Because this community is so mad.
Yeah, I don't know, other than I think that it's hard for people to, I really don't know.
Is
To tell
it
you the
because
truth,
of
I don't know.
Michelle, you said that there is a big push to rescue in the world right now, and maybe they feel attacked?
Or maybe they feel like they are not creating a problem. Like they truly
I do
don't.
think that is part of it. They don't think that they're part
And
of
I
the
think
problem.
that people have missions, right? Just the same way we have a mission. I wonder if they truly feel like they love a breed and they're like, my mission is to have this breed. And we philosophically disagree with that.
Right.
But in their minds, that is their mission. And that's in their heart. And so it's really hard when other people are coming at you and saying, you're wrong.
But
Yeah.
Philosophically.
are they being attacked? Like, I don't know, because we don't go out of our way to
No.
like.
I mean, I don't attack them, but I think they probably are.
Sure.
We're definitely cleaning up messes. We're definitely
Yeah, for
cleaning
sure.
up messes.
What are you smirking at, Gabby?
Sorry, I was doing the little point
Oh,
finger.
there's that-
finger.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do feel like breeders, maybe they've had like a bad experience with a rescue dog or rescues in general. And I feel like there are also some unethical rescues too.
100%.
that-
Mm-hmm.
And
Don't
let's
do
be
their-
honest, rescues can be very judgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, we definitely
No. Oh my God,
feel
it's
like
very
we have the
kumbaya.
moral high ground,
And I do think that some personality traits of breeders, they like want to have control over what they're getting and producing.
That's a great point. And I think that's one reason why I am more drawn to rescue people. Because hear me out. I think people who rescue are more likely, and of course I'm speaking in generalities, to be more risk-taking,
Open-minded.
more open-minded, less judgmental. I mean, I know we're judgy about rescuing, but like
Yeah.
in general, I think we're a very tolerant group, very accepting, very loving. And I think it's because we are open to the not knowing. We don't need that control. And that's one of their big points, is why we need to continue to breed dogs, is because
I mean, the ethical breeders, there's a difference between I will give them credit, the ethical breeders that will do the health testing.
yes,
They won't deny medical care if there's something wrong with the dog. And then there's some that will take them back, but that's like the
Slim.
tiniest percentage. Because most people, once the dog's out the door, and if a person needs to return in a week, they say no.
yeah.
Whereas rescues, it could be years later, and people just say, you have to take the dog back. You're a rescue. The dog came from you. So,
And it's in our contract.
yeah. But
Oh,
the
yeah,
breeders
that's a good
who
point.
say they care about every puppy that leaves their house, no, you don't. Because you would have a space in your house for that puppy's 15 years of life to come back to you.
Yep.
Now, if you pass away and you can't take a dog back, that's something different. But you're just putting dogs out in the world and not caring where they go. You're not putting it in a purchase contract. They have to be spayed or neutered. You're not
Opposite.
It's literally the opposite. Like, you're saying that if you adopt purchase a female dog, they're required to have one litter, and the breeder can take one of those puppies. But the breeder's not paying for it.
Who's tracking that they're getting spayed and neutered? Like, that's my.
Good point.
Nobody.
I don't think anybody.
Nobody.
Then how can they say that they're not contributing
I mean, it's a great
to the
point.
issue?
They are. They're contributing 100%.
That is my biggest thing.
And they don't.
I mean, if there's a breeder out there that would like to tell
I'd
us,
love to know,
we'd like to know.
what the system is. I
Yeah.
would.
And it wouldn't be combative. It's I really want to know what do you guys do
if we're getting this wrong?
Exactly. If we're getting it wong, let us know.
Is there software that tracks spay neuters like a microchip?
There's not.
I know.
They're 100% not.
Do you have balls or not?
Ball check.
I have.
Jumbo
I
wing.
do pet sit full time, and I have had a couple clients with stud dogs.
Sires, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh, I
so
hate the breeder language. I'm sorry. I just think it's so pretentious.
they signed a contract, and they have to keep their dog intact so they can
Use it.
use him. Yeah. And I'm just hear his balls clacking together on our
Wait, for how long?
walks.
Do you know how long the time period is?
That's crazy.
No, but he was at least like 4 years
Wait,
old.
And they still haven't neutered.
I don't think so.
Is he fucking?
Well, I think he's moving to North Carolina, so I
How
don't know
does
how
that work?
works.
You just call up your
I don't
client
know.
that purchased
Well,
the dog
you know
and say,
what?
hey, I'm picking him up to have an
Send
appointment.
the sperm over.
Like-
Let me tell you something about one of our local vets. I ended up leaving this practice because I just couldn't justify it in my mind anymore. They do in vitro for dogs.
God.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
so
brave new world.
Yeah.
weird side thing. Is there a problem with females? Is there complications? Can female dogs not get pregnant, or is there like they always do? Because it seems like they always do.
I don't know.
Like with humans, right?
When
There's
they're-
IVF.
That's a great question.
when they're
I don't
in
know.
heat, yeah.
So there's never. I mean, I don't know. I guess
don't know
Oh,
nobody
I'm
would
sure
ever
there's
know.
barren
I think there's a
dogs.
Yeah,
there
I'm
has
sure,
to be,
yeah,
right? I
there's
wasn't
a
sure.
certain time period.
Well, I know that, but like, is there infertility in dogs?
There
Well,
is.
I mean, but
Yeah.
there's definitely we've experienced it in
Or
our
maybe
own.
the timing, like they want it done, you
Yeah.
know,
While she's
a certain
ovulating,
time.
I mean,
I
she
don't
has
know,
to
but
be
or
while
not
but
a
she's
this
senior.
vet does IVF. And I remember I was
God.
I was always having an issue with it.
Oh.
It just like I'm like, man, you okay? I'm working just to accept dogs
Yes.
doing it the natural way, and now you want me to accept IVF.
Oh.
Not
But the
doing
thing
that.
that got me though, I remember this moment. I was sitting in the waiting room, and a lady brought in a cat for IVF.
Oh, we need
And I
more
was
cats
like,
too.
Oh my god! I thought my head was gonna pop off. I'm like, I'm sorry. You're doing IVF on a cat?
Yeah, we're low on stock in
Yeah,
cats.
right? Like,
None in the back.
just unreal
Well,
to
it's
me.
like that place for the spay neuter. I tried to get my dog's rear dew claws removed, and they said no because they weren't fatty enough. They get caught, they curl,
Yeah.
and then on my way out, I see a sign that says they offer ear croppings, and I have not used them since.
Yeah, make that make
yeah.
sense.
I
Like,
don't send anybody to that vet
I
anymore.
know. Well,
Yeah,
we don't, but that pissed me off. Like that's not an apple. Like
You wanted to prevent him from getting his dew
getting
claw
hurt.
hurt,
Yeah.
but you'll chop off half of his ears. That's
For no
for
reason.
for no
zero
reason.
health reasons.
Zero
Yeah,
reason.
I've
For
heard
cosmetic.
I've heard
Yeah.
breeders also say it's so they don't get ear infections.
Okay, fine.
and
That might
stuff.
be a positive to
I
it.
mean-
Bo has no rear dew claws,
Maybe if
no
it's a
ears, and a
basset hound.
docktail. He's gorgeous, but he'd be gorgeous
you know
with
what?
all those
Give
things.
me Roscoe the Basset
Huh?
with 8 feet of ear.
Yeah. Well, I love a floppy ear.
Oh my gosh.
And-
I can't do the cropped thing.
I do think, obviously, there's health issues in rescue, but knock on wood, my 3 rescues have never had any health issues. They are a mixed
I mean, that is
fucking-
a factual
Hybrid-
statement backed
hybrid
by
vigor
science.
is real.
Exactly. You dilute that DNA somewhat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
But the
less
thing is, too,
dominant.
here's my other thing. If you want to get, we've talked about this, a certain kind of dog,
You wait.
we can
They're
probably
there.
find it for you.
It won't be purebred more than likely, but
We've seen a lot of purebreds
so
in
my
rescue.
huskies were 91% Siberian husky puppies
Wow.
Wow.
in
Yeah,
Texas.
you know what? And I feel like if you want a
'Cause that's where
husky,
they need to work.
that's close enough.
91%.
Don't be an
That's
ass and go
amazing.
buy one. Also, so I met this guy at the gas station recently, and he used to breed. I forget what the breed was, but he was the coolest guy because he said, I started doing research. He got a dog that he was going to breed. Started doing research, and then he's like, I realized that this breed, there's a certain number of them in the shelters.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I can't justify bringing more in when there are already some in the shelters. So
Right.
what about that,
Yeah.
breeders?
Yeah.
Why don't you say, you know what, I'm not going to bring in more
There's always
huskies
pets and pigs and
until
shelters.
there's none in the
Yeah.
shelters.
Let me do my
Or
research
be
first.
part of the
Solution.
solution. Yeah, like figure out a way. I mean, okay, if you want to keep this breed somehow, completely. What is it called?
Preserve.
Preserve the breed. Preservation of the breed.
Like a fossil?
Then work. then work with
Like a dead
the
body,
rescues.
formaldehyde.
Why aren't you working with the rescues to make sure that these
Gabby
guys
has her
don't have
feet on
problems?
me, by the way. Oh, good. There's socks. It's
I
fine.
think that the EBs just don't feel like it's their responsibility at all.
Right.
You know, they don't have to be part of the
Just
solution.
broke it.
So I once had a breeder call me, Doodle backyard breeder call me, and she had adopted out all of her puppies, and she was done. Actually,
Adopted or sold?
A mutt mixer.
Sold. Sorry, did I say adopted?
We're just used to saying
Yeah,
I
we're
was
used
sorry,
to rescue language.
Sold, and I don't know how much they were, but they were in the thousands
for doodles.
for
mutts.
doodles.
Uh-huh.
We should call them
And-
mutt makers.
Yeah, mutt makers. So she called me, and she had somebody who had bought one of her puppies, and it had been 2 weeks, and the woman had realized that she had gotten out in over her head
Surprise.
and with a puppy, and she didn't want it. This breeder was calling me to have us take the puppy because her job is to sell that puppy. She does not take
Probably she
returns.
responded at all.
Then you should not be doing what you're doing.
She wanted to put me in touch with the owner of the dog. She wanted me to buy it from the owner so the owner would get some of her
Oh
money
my
back.
Oh, right.
So the owner would get some of her money back. And, so maybe $1,500. I'd get it for
Yeah.
half.
Oh
and
my
I'm like, I do
gosh.
not need
You can
anything.
Actually,
Even a discount.
Right?
I will take my Chihuahua, my Texas
Right.
Chihuahua mixes.
Yeah, my
take
street
the breeder
dog.
to
My street
court
dogs.
and get the money back. Like, not us. We're
Yeah,
not.
like it was wild. But the breeder was the one that was advocating for this
2
sort of
weeks, you should have taken
2
the dog
weeks.
back.
2 weeks.
And
Yeah.
I guess the EBs would say
We take them back
we take them back.
always.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
no
I don't know.
one will fucking talk to me. It's the most maddening thing. I have tried so many times to say, let's have a conversation.
we're very
Not
open.
one person. Yeah, very
we
open.
will pull up a chair at our
Exactly.
podcast.
Come and join us. And the other thing that I found that these EBs will do is they will point out stories like we had a litter of puppies that ended up with parvo, and they were on a transport. We didn't run the transport.
We also didn't know they had parvo.
We didn't know that they
until
had
2
parvo.
days after they came in.
Exactly. So we told this story. I told this story. And, I try to be honest with what we deal with. I think that's what people want to hear. And I got fucking hammered by the EBs. And then we find out that one of our main haters
Called the venue. And told the venue that we do events.
That person dealt with parvo too. Don't tell me that parvo is not also
You're
in the
fancy
breeding
with
community.
a
It's a
parvo
fucking virus.
outbreak. You hypocrite.
Exactly.
We didn't create parvo.
So crazy.
No,
So I don't know where
exactly.
this anger comes from, but it's very
That
frustrating.
Same
Yes.
person actually will make videos of like really aggressive shelter dogs. Okay, not every shelter dog is perfect.
Yeah.
But she'll take a video of a
To
dog
further her narrative.
that all shelter dogs should just be euthanized.
Yeah.
We should just clear out every
But we should
shelter
just euthanize all breeders.
because they'll post this video of this dog going ballistic in the
joking.
shelter. And then they'll post a video of this perfectly well-bred, well-behaved dog and say, wouldn't you rather have this dog
Yep.
that's perfect
Yep.
or get this free dog from the shelter that acts like this?
So are there ethical doodle breeders?
No.
No, and the ethical
That's
breeding
not a
Not
breed.
community.
or purebred only?
ethical
Okay.
breeding community does not recognize doodle breeders
Okay,
because
well,
they say
thank
they're
God
not
for that.
they're not a breed, and they're not.
Because
They're-
I was
they're
going to
not.
bring up how behaviorally challenged doodles are, and we see that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not ethical breeding.
They are not. They
Well,
do
that's
not
good.
claim them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
We're on that side of things with them.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I don't like about the breeders is this furthering of the narrative that rescue dogs are damaged. And that breeder dogs are predictable and solid. I told this story on TikTok recently. Woman on my walk a year ago, she said, I'm looking for a puppy. I said, you're in luck. I run a rescue.
Yeah.
No shortage of them. She said, no, I don't want a project dog. Which I thought, isn't that funny? Have you ever met a puppy? Every puppy is a project
Yeah.
dog.
Oh,
So she
they
ends
just
up
add
buying
water.
she ends up buying an expensive golden retriever puppy. Fast forward a year, this dog is giving her a run for her money. And she
Fafo.
said to me, I didn't want a project dog and I got a project dog. So don't tell me that there are not breeder dogs
Also,
that have
we are
issues.
not going to take your dog into the rescue.
right?
I mean, we will, but
I know, right?
Yeah, that's the thing is we will. But
I want to be very clear that there are tons of rescue dogs that have issues and that require
Of course.
additional care. And I think that's why I'm drawn to rescue
There are
people
also
because we're
tons
willing
that
to
are
put in more time.
amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, all of my dogs have been rescues with various issues, but all kind of great in their own way.
Mhm.
I feel like there's just a different mentality that it's not about
Well,
being
it's like you're not
perfect.
seeking perfection.
Right, that we're meeting them where they are and that
Yeah.
we're accepting that they may have
Also saving them.
limitations and saving them. I'm also someone, I don't know how you guys feel. I don't think every dog should be saved. I'm not one of those hardcore
Yeah,
people.
it's not realistic.
No, who thinks like every single dog, you know,
Right.
these super behaviorally challenged dogs should all be saved. I don't think that. And I mean, if I were to have one really aggressive, difficult dog, that would be the only dog I could work with because I can't have that in my setting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not in a position to take like a super aggressive dog. And I'm not saying that they should all be saved.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, in general, I want to be part of a solution versus adding to the problem. And I don't know if that's where the anger comes from, is that I don't know, do they feel
probably
bad?
don't even know where the anger comes from. They just think that
They are the angriest fucking group I've ever met.
They should just be against.
It's mental illness, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it is. I mean, do you think, Tiff, that the people who say the ethical breeding community says that adopt, don't shop is a terrible phrase, and that it should be adopt or
shop responsibly.
Shop responsibly, whatever it is. I mean, do you think the two can coexist?
No.
Yeah.
Because
Right now,
no.
Never.
If you want to preserve the breed, you'll help the dogs in the shelter of that breed.
That's right. Yeah.
But they're going to say, well, they're
No.
not pure.
No,
And they're going
are.
to say, no, now
They're
they're
damaged
older and they're
goods.
damaged.
No, they're not. I have a friend, Tina, and she does just Doberman rescue. There is purebred Dobermans everywhere.
I wonder what breed specific rescues, how do they feel about? I'm sure I know how they feel about ethical
That's a
breeders.
good question.
Right?
That is a really good question.
I'm sure they look at things differently than us because we are
I wonder
not.
if we could get somebody to come talk
I'm
to us.
sure.
from
I'm
the
sure.
Yeah,
rescue.
reach out if anyone's
Yeah,
in
your friend.
My friend Tina would.
Yeah,
because
breed
she's
specific.
rescue.
Actually, I have reached out to a couple Mastiff when I was looking for fosters or homes for, and then these other rescues have said, we don't take mixes. And I was like, well, that seems dumb. You're
I've
a breed specific rescue?
I've seen dogs that look like they're purebred and they are not.
Right.
Well, right.
So-
But it was just weird to me. And I was like, what?
That
Like,
is weird.
You only take purebred dogs in your
Do you
rescue? I don't
DNA
know.
test
It was
them?
weird.
Well, one of my favorite stories were the people who took Tulip. She was one of my foster dogs. She looked like some kind of shepherd mix, obviously a mix. And they said they'd gotten their previous dog from a German shepherd breed-specific rescue, and they ended up having it DNA tested. It had 0 German shepherd.
That's hilarious.
The best thing about these people was they thought that was so fucking
Yeah,
funny.
it's
Like,
the
they were
best.
not mad. They
Right.
just thought it was hilarious. So,
Can I get my adoption fee refunded?
yeah, exactly.
That's really funny. Go ahead.
Does anyone have any specific breeder story that you want to share?
I guess from where my parents got Burley, the exuberant doodle.
What kind of doodle do you have?
He's like a
He's a
golden doodle or
golden
something.
doodle?
Standard. He's huge.
Yeah, he's
Standard
like
doodle or
I
6
don't
Doodle
know all the
poodle.
different doodle types.
There's 77.
I know, I'm bad at that.
medium, micro, mini.
Don't tell me there's a micro doodle.
There's an
Extra large.
anus
Have you
doodle.
never seen a
what?
micro?
A noose doodle?
Stop
I'm
it.
joking.
There's not.
It's not.
Anyway,
Stop giving them ideas.
Yeah.
We can breed an asshole and a poodle? a noose doodle?
Isn't that a doodle?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
so after my 2 families' rescue dogs passed, they were tired of the shedding and hair. Even though they have 3 cats, I'm like, okay, relax. But I was like, well, we're not buying a dog because
Avi.
I would take myself out of the family.
Right. I will disown myself.
So I just applied all over, and then we eventually found Burley at a rescue in Virginia. And this rescue drove up a van to Ohio, which is where more Amish are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there was like 13 in the litter, which is huge.
Big
and
dogs, too.
they had already started shooting the dogs on the property.
Yeah.
And I guess his litter they just saved 13 of them.
They were
And
getting older and they couldn't sell them.
yeah,
I love that
probably.
story for a couple reasons. Number one, you legitimately have allergies. You know, like that's a real thing. And you were able to find a doodle.
It's
Like
not
if you
that
want
hard,
a doodle,
honestly.
you can
Listen.
rescue a doodle.
We've had doodles.
I
We have
have
so many.
Like,
friends personally that have purchased doodles. And I'm like, you guys see on Facebook, I share, I can get you
Mhm.
whatever you
It's
want.
crazy.
And one person, they reached out to me and I was like, yeah, absolutely. We get them all the time. 24 hours later, her husband went and bought her one. And I was like, you didn't even give me
I
like
think people want them and they want
anytime.
them now.
Yes,
I do,
100%.
and they're
Yeah.
not willing to
Yeah.
wait. I do
no,
think, and I'm not
it's
justifying
instant
that.
gratification, and naturally people want that.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
want to wait.
wild.
Why? When I can go on the internet at said name websites and I
And
can
get
have
it right away.
I just
I don't
gotta
have to
show
wait.
up with the cash.
I had a friend also purchase a dog, and it was hurtful because I'm like, you see what I do every single
and
day.
a volunteer of ours.
Yes.
Do they not think that they're contributing?
I don't know. She's like, well, we really just wanted the dog right away.
Exactly.
It's the instinct.
And I said, if you wanted to rescue, you could have rescued.
100%.
Just
I
give
love
me a
hearing-
second.
It was a really nice family, and they really cared about the dogs.
It's a
and I'm like,
religious family in Pennsylvania.
they are.
Wow! Oh my god!
From what I learned
Was
from
it
the
green?
from the
a lot of
11-year-old,
green.
they're good salespeople.
Of course they are.
Oh my
Their
God.
kids
Well,
are
their
too.
children are doing the sound like the
Yesterday, while we
7-year-olds.
had the Frenchies, because the vet was looking at them, this little girl came up, very cute, and she was like, "Oh my god, I have one that looks just like that." And I was like, "You do? Did you go with your family? Was there a lot of grass there?
Was it
Did
a
they
farm?
have
Was it a
horses?
farm?
No cars. No cars.
I'm surprised how many people don't know about the Amish.
Yeah,
I've had a
I
number of
agree.
people say, "Oh, what do you mean? What's
Or
with
the
the Amish?"
Fosters had no idea over the weekend.
They're
no
in
idea.
denial too.
Do you guys have any breeder stories that stand out to you? Anyone that we've worked with? I mean, my main thing is just
one of our mean Fosters that bought one.
Oh, yeah.
I think that for me, what were you going to say?
No,
something
go
to-
ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that for me, what stands out the most is I had my breeder, story where they called and wanted us to help with the one they had sold. But I think that for me, it's just really, if it's so hard to be the ones to sort of fix some of the messes, or we have the Frenchies with the cleft palate, or we have
Prolapsed anus.
Yeah.
Dog.
yeah. Or, just for me, it's really the bullies that came in
Yeah.
where people were breeding them, and they're Franken puppies.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're not
living creatures. You're just messing.
Yeah, they're
with
They
them.
really-
really look fake. Like
right.
that.
It's like
And again,
something
I will just say the EBs would say we would never do that.
right. Right. Right.
and
And so
hopefully not.
and it's like when you do get the litter and they open their eyes and you realize they don't have eyes, it's devastating
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's what I think about. I'm like, we're creating life. People are out there. We are not. I'm saying people, the breeders are creating life that is not sustainable in some meaningful way sometimes. Now, of course, those dogs are meaningful and we do our best to save them, but I'm saying that they're creating dogs that are going to suffer.
This is a dumb question.
Yeah.
How do they cull them? And also, did they just take the word kill and make it a
I think
different
so.
word?
Yeah, I don't know.
The
don't
word
know.
cull, I think, is a oldie.
Okay.
They still
I'm going
use
to
it, though.
research for next.
But we don't
They
know
still
how.
use it. I don't know.
I'm going to
if it's a
research
vet
cull.
euthanasia or what the deal is. I mean, just recently, talking about breeder stories, I went to our local shelter to get an old dog that just kind of spoke to me. And while I was there, purebred mini dachshund was surrendered, and the shelter workers, who we know well, said, "Would you want to take this dog?"
He's short
Absolutely.
legs. Not even for the breed,
Lean.
just the short
Exactly. Yeah, it
legs.
had nothing to do with the breed. I was like, short legs, that's a yes. So I was looking at the surrender paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
It was an owner surrender, 2-year-old dog, had never been to the vet.
And also said that he was aggressive. Which
And
is
was
a total
born
lie.
in the care of the owner. So that's obviously
A breeder. Backyard breeder.
Backyard breeder.
Or
Presume-
who
maybe
knows?
not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we don't
But
know.
Dog never went to the vet.
And they blacked his name out so we couldn't go research the
I
person.
know. And then they surrendered the dog, who ended up being
He's
lovely.
amazing.
Yeah, I used to volunteer with a different rescue, and one of the board members bought a dog when they had several, at least one or two of this breed in the rescue.
What was
Can't
the
make sense
reasoning?
of that.
She wanted a baby puppy
Oh, we have lots of baby puppies.
of
I had
this
baby
certain
puppies.
breed.
I can't make sense of
Oh.
that. We used to have a board member who was a cat person. I don't know if I talked
my-
about this person, but loved cats and bought all these expensive $5,000 cats.
There's probably
might as
more
well buy
cats than
worms.
dogs. More stray cats than dogs,
The
I think.
cat problem is so much worse than the dog problem. And
Yeah.
that was so crazy to me that, okay, you're working with a rescue. Granted, we're mainly dogs, but you're
Still an
certainly
animal,
aware
yeah.
of the rescue mindset. And you're buying cats?
That's
I
a-
don't understand how those two
Was she
things go
like
together.
justifying that it was different because it was cats?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Or
It
the
never
hy-
made sense to me.
Or the hypoallergenic cats.
Those exist.
Yeah, apparently.
Are they naked?
Just don't get a cat.
Even the ragdoll
If you're
kittens.
Never,
That's
honestly,
annoying,
or just
you know?
never,
Yeah, exactly. just no.
Or
Just
go to a
absolutely no.
barn and you'll find a cat.
or just hang out
Baltimore
outside.
City
long
has
enough.
lots
know.
of cats.
I
I mean,
know.
anywhere.
Any farm.
Any shelter.
If
has
you,
cats.
if you said, I want a gray male 2-year-old cat, I could make a call right now.
100%.
Absolutely.
I tell you all the time.
What do you want? I'm like I could be
Cat
like
dealer, cat
like a
dealer.
dealer. Yeah, what do you want? A calico? I'll get you a
I-
calico.
or
Just
Second.
respond to any message that you get.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. And to your point, if someone wanted a certain kind of dog, Roscoe is a great example.
Mhm.
I love basset hounds. My whole life I've loved basset hounds. I don't know why, just their faces, their whole
Short
vibe,
legs.
and it's just adorable. So I would never buy one, but I've always loved them. So Tiffany heard about this old basset, 11 years old.
Mhm.
His owner was going into assisted living, had dementia, couldn't take him, family couldn't take him. They were devastated. So Tiffany was like, let's get this dog.
Mind
So-
you, he's old and blind.
He's old and blind.
and he never stops barking.
I know. But you know what? Because I was like, I am open.
Mhm.
I don't need to have a puppy.
Right.
I just love bassets.
Mhm.
I was able to take a basset, and I have a basset hound now. He's my long-term foster. He'll be with me for the rest of his life. I love him to pieces. So if you're willing to be a little flexible too, or like say you like
Right.
huskies, take a 90% husky. Doesn't
Or
need to
one that
fucking be
looks-
100%.
It's
or
also
one that looks like a husky. Like, come
annoying
on.
when people are like, well, I like the look of this
I
one.
want-
Oh, that
I
makes
want
me
to adopt
crazy.
this dog in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to meet him
And
first?
I love
Exactly.
to tell people they're horrible. Like
Okay.
they are rotten.
Also, looks don't go all the way.
oh my god.
Like,
Oh,
it should
no.
be personality that fits
100%.
with your
That's
family.
That's why I fell in love with Mastiffs. I mean, we fostered because we were just interested, but like I fell in love with her breed, her personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
And I certainly understand that. And there's nothing
but I
wrong with
still
that.
would never buy. I want an 8-week-old Mastiff. It's my dream.
Right. Right.
I'll get one day.
Yeah, one will come along.
course,
And it's
and they
okay
have
to
come
like a
along.
certain look of a dog. I mean, I like the look of a basset hound. I think their faces are cute and the long ears but my personal dog looks nothing like Roscoe. I literally have the ugliest dog in the history of dogs.
Dobby.
She is a Chihuahua mix. She's 74% Chihuahua.
Chocolate.
She's 100% ugly. She is dirt brown.
Hates all people.
She has no redeeming qualities about her.
Shit
She
brown.
hates everyone. Yeah, she's shit brown.
Looks very much like
She's
a German Shepherd
totally
puppy.
skittish.
The German
My
Shepherd.
husband's like,
Remember that?
you
Yes.
have access
You barely
to
see her.
all of the dogs,
I
and you
know.
picked this dog. I'm like, I don't
She
know.
picked
She just
you.
spoke to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that even though she's not really my jam in
Right.
terms of how she looks, she's my dog.
Yeah, of course.
And that's
But
why I
that's
think I
it.
like rescue people because there's
That's
like an
it.
openness of,
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
so.
I would consider this. I mean, you were saying with the dogs that you got in, it was like a couple of pug mixes.
The cheese.
Oh
And you
my
were like,
God,
I'm
over
not
the
really a
weekend?
little dog
Yeah.
person, but I kind of love them.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Snuggle Leone. Oh my God, I love him.
Right? And you
Dude,
kind
he
of,
was like nuts, and he's like 6 pounds. He's 3 years old, has a snuggle tooth.
oh my gosh.
and
Oh,
he
the
was like,
pictures.
he came to my house 3:30 a.m. Friday night on transport, and he was like talking to me about my car's extended warranty, nuzzling up in my arm in the morning, and I was
Oh
like,
my God.
"Are we best friends?"
Right? You're like, I, kinda
I love him.
I know. I just think being open.
Yeah. I mean,
And also,
yeah.
like, if you like a certain look, going back to the breeders, if you like a certain look, why can't you do a mix?
Why?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
only
if you,
like
and if you
mixes,
want to
yeah.
have more control over the temperament, okay, so get a puppy.
Or
and then
foster
you
and
raise
get
it
to know that dog.
Exactly. Foster and get
For
to
a
know. That's a great
breed-specific
idea.
rescue.
Exactly. Get to
Yep.
know that dog, or get a puppy if you want to kind of be part of the whole raising of the dog. There's so
Yeah.
many ways to do it.
Yeah.
There are.
I don't know. I'm often surprised by the anger of the breeder community. And I don't know if it's because they feel really judged. They feel misunderstood. They feel like everybody lumps backyard breeders in with ethical breeders, which we do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair criticism.
I am interested now that we're sitting here talking. Like, I have questions.
I have questions
and
too.
it's not like a combative. Like, I'm just like, how do they track the spay neuters? That's my biggest question.
Like, do they call everybody? I don't know.
Like we do, right? We send us in proof within our time frame.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I hope a breeder reaches out. We'd love to have you on.
I would love to. I mean, I'm genuinely curious.
Me too. And it wouldn't be, it's not a hate fest. We want to learn. And we want to share our experience too, so you can understand where we're coming from.
Right. Right. And what we see. I mean,
what we see every day.
Every day.
Well, and we're not even front lines. Like, I
we're
talked
not even
to
front lines.
Julie with Pink Happy Tails, and she's like peeling dogs off of the shelter floors in the winter because they died from being frozen. Like, could you imagine?
No.
I mean, even the shelter workers, I think, have it so much harder.
Oh, absolutely.
The other thing I want to make, the other point I want to make about breeding is that I know we have all personally experienced mama dogs.
Oh,
and
I'm
telling you,
best. The more trauma they've been through, the more they love.
And they don't want to fucking do it.
They don't want to do it.
They also don't want to leave
dogs.
their recall train because they know how good they have it.
Yeah. The mama dogs are amazing. But I'm always struck. I have a mama dog right now with 7 babies. I'm always struck by the fact that they don't want to do it. My mama dog just wants to be with the other dogs.
Yeah.
She wants to run around and be with people, and she doesn't want to be tied down to a litter.
What's funny
That's
is
my other problem with breeders is it's like, if you constantly
poor
make your
moms
mama dogs like
you're like you're like a pimp.
Exactly. It's just, don't tell me that the moms
enjoy
like that.
it.
Exactly.
So, no, that is such a good point, Amy. That is such a good point. We've all had mama dogs or had
Violet jumping out the window, getting away
I
from
had a
her
mama
babies.
dog jump out the window because she was like, fuck this.
Yeah, they don't want to do it. They just want to be dogs. They just want to be loved, and they want to be treated like a puppy. They're exhausted. It's a physical toll they did not ask for.
Yep.
And
I know that my mama has some kind of intestinal parasite, and I'm limited in what I can give her because she's still nursing. So I can't get her to optimal health until I get those babies weaned, and they're about maybe 5 weeks now. So I have a little while to go where she's not going to feel great. I don't have the options.
So happy.
Well, and I've had
it's amazing.
Yeah, you have. How many of us have had mama dogs with heartworm?
Yeah.
Then they've got to go through it, and they can't barely breathe.
I know.
We do not like to leave moms. If someone asks us if we can take puppies, we don't like just taking puppies because that
always
doesn't
ask
help.
for the mom.
Ohana means family.
Nobody gets left behind.
Nobody
gets left behind.
I can do the Stitch voice
we all hold
too.
hands and sing a song.
We can do the Stitch voice.
And we take them with heartworm because we know that other rescues are only taking puppies sometimes.
Yeah.
And leaving them because they have heartworm and they can't treat them or they don't have the funding.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you are breeding dogs, you are deluding yourself if you think that the moms want to do it. They will do it most of the time. We've also had moms that have said, I'm not doing it. And then we end up having to intervene. We've had moms attack their babies. We've
I
had
thought
moms...
you meant do it like sex.
No.
Well, that's always forcible.
Well, it's like Handmaid's Tale, right?
Exactly.
Mostly rape, honestly.
So, yeah. I mean, so you are fooling yourself if you think, oh, the mom's so happy being with the babies. All they want is to be done. And what I tell the moms all the time, our gift to you is your spay.
Absolutely.
You're never going to have to do this again. You're going to live out your life. And you know what? Sometimes people will ask me about that. Oh, I feel bad taking the mom away from the babies. She will not look back.
Violet was a baby goat.
It's not like people.
She was on,
right?
Violet, Amy's mama dog that she had.
Before my current one.
10 puppies.
Yeah.
Every time we would walk into the room, she was standing on top of some sort of furniture.
The
to get away. No, literally. It was she was a goat.
Yeah, she was
Absolutely.
like, God damn it, get these kids away.
That was the way Liz Taylor was.
Yeah.
She would come in, she was staying on the top of the couch, looking down at the puppies, trying to get to her, and she's like, "Get me the fuck
100%.
out."
I mean, we tend to anthropomorphize.
Yeah.
We make the animals seem human, and so we think it's like a human
it's
experience.
Yeah.
And it's not like that at all. They just want to get away. They want to be a dog, and they don't want to do it again. So I feel like we're also giving a gift to the mamas by not breeding them.
Yep. Didn't you have somebody once? I feel like I'm remembering this. That said that they just wanted to give their dog motherhood.
Yes.
Experience.
Yeah, the
I want my dog
experience.
to experience
This
being a mother.
motherhood.
And they're like, I want my kids to
I
grow
hate
up.
that.
with
We
my-
just want to
Selfish
set
prick.
one litter for my kids to
Oh,
see it.
God.
Why don't you foster
Go to a
mom?
shelter.
Exactly.
How about
Why
that?
don't you
Yeah.
I
foster?
can get in my phone and find you a pregnant dog.
yeah,
right
Exactly.
now.
You want a
Right
pregnant?
now.
What do
There's
you want? A
probably
pregnant
one
dog?
of our
I
front
gotcha.
pages
Big or small?
already.
Yeah.
Chocolate, white.
I know, right?
I mean, my mama dog that I ended up adopting, she picked her babies up and threw them against the wall,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is when
they're
I had
done.
to separate them. I was
Right.
like, all right,
Die,
we're done.
die.
She did. I caught it on camera. She
I feel
just
her.
threw them against the wall. And I was
Well,
like, all right, we're done.
Hopefully a breeder will reach out. We'd love to talk
We
more.
would love to talk to you.
For real. It's a genuine offer. So
Yeah.
Some
reach out
healthy-
to
Provide the
us.
Duncan.
Yeah, we'll get you Duncan. Well, thank you
Duncan,
guys so
please
much for hanging
sponsor.
out.
Duncan,
I
please
know,
sponsor.
Duncan, come on, send us some coffee. You know I love my
Smash that
Duncan.
like button.
Oh my God. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you
Bye.
next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Love you.